G'day folks, and welcome to another exciting instalment of Gray's Trains. My name is Gray and this is my train. So it's the turn of the rustic engineman Y14 or J15 as it's more commonly known today, and we are on the Dark Railway 1960s. So we've got an LNER day in deepest darkest Kent. And we are also running with three ex-Great Central Barnum coaches in tow, produced by Matrix Trains. And there goes a Just Trains Advanced V2 with the Matrix Trains teaks that come with. A really lovely rate there, really lovely train. So we're just going to load up with passengers here, and as soon as the doors slam and we've got the green on the signal, then we can go. Let's get the loco brake off, get the dampers open, get ourselves prepared. Here comes a Mesh Tools J50 coming in at quite some lick, with a rake of DT LNER wagons. I like that wagon pack. The wagons are quite nice, but unfortunately they don't have the custom sounds and them don't work for me. Which is a shame. It's a great shame because they're otherwise beautiful wagons. Beautiful. I like a good wagon. I really do like my wagons. I like my rolling stock. So yeah. Okay, so our signal is now green, showing the all clear. So now we just need to wait for the doors to slam. Okay, I think that's enough coal as well. So, why am I doing this video? Why on the Dark Railway? Why with the J15? Why with Barnum coaches? What's going on here? Nothing goes together. We've got a Great Eastern engine pulling Great Central coaches on a Southern Region route. A Southern Region fictitious route, no less. What's going on? Well, basically, I got a couple of requests and suggestions in previous videos. For example, James Wright had kindly purchased me the Matrix Trains Barnum coaches as a gift for me to showcase them in a video. Thomas Dibden of Dark DJ Productions suggested that I do a video on the Dark Railway 1960s route, and I wanted to have a little look-see at the J15. I wanted to show that off and give my 2 cents on the whole, on the engine, its whole package and everything. So what you get and everything like that. So we're just going to wait for these doors to close. They're taking their time. These passengers are taking their time. They're taking my time. I've got no real issue because I'm building up steam in the meantime. There we go. Right. Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting? Yeah, I want to get going. There we go. So, plan is that I've got three topics of conversation. I've got engine, coaches, route. So we'll start off with the route, the Dark Railway. So, what is it about the Dark Railway? Why am I on this route? Well, why have I mentioned Thomas Dibden of Dark DJ Productions? Well, Tom created this route specifically for his series, which is called the Dark Railway series, which he's been producing since 2011. He's been producing it for quite a long time. And as of this season, as in this year's season, I've gained 2 roles as regular characters in his series. Now, Dark Railway series, it is a talking train series. But it's not silly like Thomas the Tank or anything like that. It's generally aimed at a more mature audience. Um, it tackles several delicate matters such as death, loss, discrimination. It tackles a lot of topics, topics that do affect most of us. It's a series that makes you laugh, it's a series that makes you cry, it's a series that makes you angry, and it's a series that makes you feel quite warm inside. It's a very, very good series. It covers the fundamentals. And one thing that I love about it is that with a lot of these talking train series, you have so many of them where it's just so flat, no banter, no laughs, nothing like that. They forget that the characters are supposed to be working, they're supposed to be effectively employees. And the thing is that in any working environment, people have banter, people joke around with each other, people take the mickey out of each other, and so on. And TDRS does it very, very well, which is why I'm a great fan of the series and why I was more than happy to contribute in terms of Tom's hunt for voice actors. So that's the main reason why I get involved in that. Dark Railway, it's set in Kent, so it's set in deepest, darkest Kent, and it runs from Gallen Junction to Mirku. These are all fictional locations, and I do believe that most of the locations, all of the towns and things like that, and there's also an industrial set on this route where all of the industries are named after UKTS developers. So on UK Train Sim, which was a freeware site where you got a load of developers and they produce scenarios, routes, engines, rolling stock and whatnot. Tom basically named half of the businesses there after after developers. So if we go down here, we've got Barnes, Harts Bob and Sons, Prairie Processing. What else have we got? Acorn Industries, Darpor Engineering. These are all developers on UKTS. So this is something I do like about Tom, is that he's able to find inspiration from just ordinary things, and I respect that in a person, I really do. And I even like the fact that most of his episodes in the series are named after songs, like they're named after house music and that sort of thing. Even though I'm not a big fan of house music, I don't really listen to it. I appreciate the creativity that goes into a series, I really do. So we are currently, I do believe, in Gallenmore, on our way towards Axley. We're really getting a shift on because we're timetabled. This is a timetabled scenario I made for this, specifically for this showcase, really. So, yeah, by the looks of things, we're going to arrive a bit early. And there's Axley there, so I've got to start slowing down. My blower on the moment anyway. Got bags of steam. Right, so coming into Axley now. I should warn you guys as well that because this is quite an old route, well, an old version of the Dark Railway, there are some parts, well, the platforms for instance, yeah, you can see that it's just the heads that appear. The bodies are underneath, but the heads just appear. So there's a glitch with that. Okay. So, get passengers on board and stop shoveling coal into the fire. So yeah, this is a fairly good route. It's available on UK. I do believe it is available on UK Train Sim. If not, it is. I think it is available through other means. I'm not too sure, to be honest. But I mostly got it. Well, I got it mostly for the reason of the fact that I am a good friend with Tom. And when I say friend, I mean like online friendship, really. So I haven't met the guy yet. As much as I'd love to meet Tom in real life. I think that'd be a great laugh. But this route covers quite a lot, and has got a lot of operational interest in it. So the route itself runs from Colhapper, which is down here, so that's Colhapper. It runs up to Raxus Heath, which is this way, and it also runs up to Meercombe up here, and there's Meercombe Industrial Estate down there. Okay, so yeah, we're still loading. Benefits of a timetable scenario is that I'm given loads of time to talk about things. So, oh, there's another thing. Just from Axley here, there is a branch line that runs up to Soma. This is a quarry up there with a loader. It's got a tight grade up there. Again, that offers a lot of operational interest. So, all in all, a very cool route. Now let's see if we can get out of Axley. There is a grade just outside of Axley. Yeah, all in all, I'd say that if you are interested in watching a series about talking trains that isn't silly, that's a bit more mature, sometimes too mature in its humour, but yeah, if you want to have a look at a series which a really good series which is fun to watch with good storylines, excellent characters, and top-notch dialogue, give TDRS or the Dark Railway series a go. Honestly, you won't be disappointed. You can see why it's lasted for 8 seasons so far, and it's probably due to go on for a lot longer than that. So, that was our first station stop, so now we've got to change topic. And let's talk about the Barnum coaches. So as I said, these were gifted to me by James Wright, whose YouTube channel will be posted in the video description, as well as Dark DJ Productions, so you can go and see the pair. And modelling wise, they're pretty good. They do look quite smart, quite good looking coach. These were designed for the Great Central Railway, and they follow North American and continental practice, and you can kind of see that at the end, how the doors are inset and you've got these big massive handrails out the side, so you can almost imagine like some kind of veranda at the back here. It's quite interesting design of coach, very interesting. So the outside is pretty good. My only gripe with the outside is that, like, the roof textures, they're not the best. They really aren't. You can see there's quite an obvious seam down the middle there, and the teak effect is a little too orange. It should be a bit paler than that. But let's have a little look inside. So run up to the engine so get a good idea of what the ambient volume is. Go inside the coach. That is no audio trick, I can assure you. They genuinely are. They genuinely are this quiet inside. I don't fabricate things. So there's no sounds on the inside at all. None. This puts the world's best libraries to shame. Textures. Same story with the textures, really. The colours are a bit off. The modelling is great. The modelling is very good. I've never seen a Barnum coach in real life, so I can't compare, but you can see that there's some pixelated textures up there. I like how some of the blinds are a little bit down, and others are more or less all the way up. But yeah, it's silence of the coaches in there. Fly, little J15. Fly, fly, fly. Just a shame there isn't a buffet coach. then you know, you could wait for the trolley attendant to come along, and you can say, you could say, I'd like your liver with some fava beans. Nice Chianti. I can't do that properly. I used to be able to do that okay, but I can't now, which is, it sucks. Silence of the Lambs, good film by the way. It is a pretty damn good film. I do like it. Oh, we're running a little bit late. We're running a little bit late for Walls Church. It's just about to level off, so I need to put some more water in. This engine is very thirsty, I will say that. It's very thirsty. It does like a drink, this engine. Right, there's a whistle board. So we're just passing the halt known as Lake, but as you can see, for some odd reason the platform doesn't work for me. It's also the only platform on the whole route where the passengers actually stand on top of the platform, if there was one there. But we're just about to traverse Woolschurch Viaduct, and we can see in the background Woolschurch Cathedral. Woolschurch is a little village, and it's got a cathedral the size of the aforementioned village. Oh dear. What a laugh, what a laugh. How we laugh and joke on Grey's trains, how we laugh. We go, ha 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 ha, hey. Ooh, that was a bit dodgy. I don't know what was happening with my audio there. That was very strange. That was a little N2 there with brake with quad arts. That's the DT N2 when the quad arts come with. I may do a video on the N2 at some point. May do. There's no guarantees. That is unless you guys would like to see me do a video on the N2. Put a comment down below if you want to see a video on the N2. Whee! I've got to brake. Brake, 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 brake. Yeah, we're just a smidgen late, but I don't think it really counts, to be fair. I think this game, it has somewhat of a tolerance when it comes to being late. I think you could be a maximum of 30 seconds late. More heads. Heads will roll. Okay, brakes. Okay, and there we go. Open the doors. Right. Oh, I think we arrived just in the nick of time, just before becoming late. And look, it's Gerald! It's Gerald! He's waiting to come to the rescue again. Hello, Gerald. You're my best friend, Gerald. He's waiting at the banker's siding here at Woolschurch, waiting for me to probably fail. Though I doubt it, because even though this is a Power Class 2 engine, it's only pulling 3 coaches. Should be more than capable of that. Alright, off we go. I kind of like how most of these gauges are saying nothing. So that's our pressure gauge, which is not accurate. What we got there? That's Westinghouse brake, Westinghouse brake. There's our boiler pressure. So I'm not sure what that what this gauge here is supposed to be, but it says nothing. Says nothing. Kind of reminds me of someone I used to date. Uh-oh, this isn't good. This doesn't bode well for later. There we go. There we go. Let's power along now. Come on. Oh no, I'd rather not be late for upway. I'd rather not be late for upway. Come on, engine. Come on. Right, so now we need to talk about the J15. The Rustic Engineman J15, developed by James Horrocks. The real engine was... this is embarrassing. I haven't actually got the history of the class before me, so I can't tell you much about the engines. I know they were built for the Great Eastern Railway, mostly allocated around Stratford and the London area. I assume that they were used on small goods, light goods. Oh my word, light goods workings and so on. But the only real things I can tell you are pretty much with the model itself. And Jesus, we're going to be seriously late in a minute. But yeah, the J15 in Train Sim. James Horrocks cut his teeth with trains. As in that's trains with a Z, mostly making Thomas models, and he came into doing Railworks models, for starters with the London Brighton South Coast E2, which I can't help but think is probably due to the Thomas connection, but there we go. So he came up with that, and that was a fair enough model. It was made in conjunction with Steam Sound Supreme. Steam Sound Supreme went away and they recorded sounds of Billington E4 class Birchgrove to make the sounds, to actually make the thing come to life, because of course the problem is that no E2 currently survives in preservation. They were all withdrawn in the 1960s towards the end of Southern Steam, or even quite a bit before then actually. So J15, one of them in preservation. And there's one in operation, as I said. And anyone who's got the E2 but hasn't got this will be thinking, well, this engine sounds familiar. You're right. They recycled the sounds. They recycled the exact same sound. They recorded the same exhaust noise from the E2 onto this. Whichever way you look at it is not the way to rock and roll, really. That's actually rather poor, and neither is this the way to rock and roll. We are going to end up at least 2 minutes late. I might fail my own scenario, which is never a good thing, I don't think, not in anyone's book. And it's just got a bit brighter. Surely it should have got a bit darker. Oh well. So yeah, what can I say about the model? Textures. No. Textures aren't the best on this engine. I will admit they really are not the best. I know that I said I wouldn't come on here and I'd slag off developers and things, because after all I can't develop a teaspoon. But oh no, the textures, they look like they came from a JPEG. Oh, we were talking about sounds earlier. The whistles, they're off the Steam Sound Supreme 9F sound pack. We got sparks flying out the chimney, which is always groovy. But yeah, the letters on the tender and on the loco just look as though they've come from a JPEG, which isn't a good way to do things. You either use a raw file format. Another interesting thing about this engine is that you can uncouple the engine from the tender, because it just uses standard coupling physics. So if I give it some reg, you can see how the tender takes up the slack there. That doesn't happen on the real thing. So that's not particularly good. The modelling on this engine is very good. I do like the modelling on it, though I gather the dimensions weren't taken from drawings. The dimensions were actually taken from the real thing. Which is kind of a bizarre way of doing it, because taking measurements from the real thing, obviously it takes an awful lot of time to do, whereas if you just took them off drawings, then it'd be a fair bit quicker. So the sounds are recycled, textures are a bit off. I'll show. Okay, so I'll show you the cab. So as you can see in here, the cab textures are a little bit off as well. They're more freeware standard, to be honest. But that's only on the cab sheets. The gauges and the controls actually look pretty good. They're not too bad at all. Coal load, that's pretty good. You've got little individual lumps modelled down there, which is again very good. And I do believe he has actually... I mean, that looks half decent in there. You can't really see it that well from up here. Let's get some coal in the fire now, because we're just climbing Upway Bank, which gets quite fearsome in a bit. In fact, I think it's started getting fearsome. Yeah, 1 in 57 is gone now. Well, how are we looking time-wise? Ouch, we're looking about 3 minutes late. So I might fail the scenario, which I'm not happy with. Yeah, modelling is very good. He's even modelled the internal motion. I mean, look at that. That's taken some real effort down there. He's put a lot of effort into this engine, but it's let down by the textures and the sounds. The textures don't look as though they've been baked properly. I mean, he's even made his own crew, which makes saying all this... It makes saying nasty things about this engine even harder to do. The fact he's made his own crew for it. I just think it's a shame that the sounds are recycled. I think it's a shame the textures aren't as good as they could have been. The animation on it is great. The modelling on it is great. And with these coaches, it does look pretty smart with it. It does look pretty smart, even though the coach, I do believe, yeah, the coaches are considerably taller than the engine. That's because these are Great Central coaches, and Great Central Railway stock were designed with, well, the whole railway was designed intercontinental loading gauge. So there you go, I actually learnt an interesting fact about the Great Central when we're looking at the J15. But yeah, this engine to drive can be a bit of a pig. This engine, it feels like the physics have been reversed between this and the E2. The E2 was a fairly low power tank engine. It was mostly relegated to shunting work. It didn't have the fuel range to go much further than that. But I just think this is a power class 2. It should have plenty of power to get these coaches up this hill, whereas I'm currently sat at 16 miles an hour. The steam raising capability of this engine is difficult if you don't know what you're doing. If you don't know the fire mass and you don't know and you don't keep your eye on it, it's quite difficult actually. We're speeding up. My gosh, we're actually speeding up. As soon as I put more coal on the fire though, it doesn't like that. I'm going to be able to inject some water soon because I'm looking at my water level. That's not looking too good. It's not looking too clever. It does drink a lot of water, this engine. Oh, I'll tell you what would help. Add the brakes in the running position. I could use less steam then. Yeah, there we go. We're actually starting to accelerate up the fearsome Upway Bank, which is a 1 in 57, as you can see down there. I do drive this engine from time to time, but it's pretty much on the basis of I want to see if I can drive it any better. It's me trying to get to grips with this engine. Everything on this engine moves too quickly. like the coal loading in the fire, for instance. I'll stick some coal on the fire right now. You just see and clip. Look, you see. There's a pound. 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 Right. So that's a fireman who's going in, out, in, out, in, out. You know, shovel on, in, out, on, in, on, in, on, in, on, in. That's literally how quick that's going. So you have to keep your eye on it. Otherwise, it's very possible to smother your fire really, really quickly. It is a challenge getting this engine to perform the way you want it to, which is why I don't drive it that often. As a driving engine, it's not the best. It's really not the best. It's a bit pinickety. It's a bit pinickety. It doesn't have an awful lot of power, and you have to really fight for what power it's got. Saying that though, it's not as bad as what some other people say about it, but what I was saying about the fire mass, that's me smothered my fire now. As soon as we start speeding up, we'll start burning this coal off, so we should be okay. There we go, we're starting to speed up again now. There we go. There we go. We're quite a bit late though, so I'm probably going to fail the scenario because I'm a bit late. The recycled sounds, I will confess, do actually, they suit this engine somewhat. They do suit this engine, but it would have been nicer if it did actually have custom sounds. And they've done this trick again with the Hunslet Fitzwilliams. I haven't got the Hunslet Fitzwilliams, but I've seen the preview video for it. The exhaust sounds very similar to this, only the pitch has been changed, and the whistle sounds very similar to that on the E2, but the pitch has been changed. So it doesn't really sound like a Hunslet Fitzwilliam, which is irritating, especially given that it proudly says on the video, sounds taken from the real engine, from the real thing, authentic sounds from the real thing, when they're not. And I think that is a massive, for one thing, that's deceit. That's a fraudulent claim then, claiming that the thing has sounds off the real thing when in truth it doesn't. Okay, there we go. This is in there. Let's try and get our boiler pressure up. Is it level? Yes, it is. So I can just pretty much release the brakes. I'll just leave them running, so as soon as I'm ready to go, I can just go. Yeah, I do have an issue with the whistle, which is that they designed it to be a quillable whistle. So if you go in the cab, for example, if I just demonstrate, so just try and get this thing underway first, but so you've got the variation in pitch there. That's so if you're in the cab you can pretty much quill it like the real whistle, but I prefer to drive in the external view. So to me it just sounds like this. Which it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't really tickle my pickle, to be honest. I much prefer the B whistle. But you have to finish it in the right time, otherwise it just cuts. It doesn't play the entire sound. Then it just gives me a load of short whistles. But Yeah, I think that this is a pretty decent engine, which is let down by rather lackluster physics, lackluster textures, and recycled sounds. Uh, the modelling and, as I said, the modelling and animation on it is very good. The particle effects are very good. They don't impact on the frames, which is my main bugbear. I don't like an engine that just tanks frames for the sake of tanking frames. Um, I like it when developers try to get as much realism as possible without inconvenience to the person buying it. We're going to be quite a bit late, I think, so I think we're going to fail this scenario. But I don't care. This episode's going out, whether the game likes it or not. So, in conclusion, then, Dark Railway. This is the genesis of TDRS. This version of the route, the 1960s version, which uses mostly default assets. The Barnum coaches. The Barnum coaches are very well modelled, but I think they're let down by textures. I think J15, that's let down by, as I've said, the textures are lackluster, the sounds have been recycled, so it comes across as a bit lazy. The physics are very lackluster. It just doesn't have the power that a real thing, I imagine, would have. When you get it raising steam, it does raise steam very, very well. But it is still too pernickety. All the controls move a little bit too fast, and it's quite difficult to keep on top of it. I don't like the controls when they're too slow, where it's really annoying to get the engine to do anything, where you just sit there holding a key for God knows how long. You know, that gets on my wick a little bit. But I don't like it when they're too fast, when it's very easy to like slip into full brake, for example. I don't like it where you're putting coal on the fire, you know, you turn to look away for literally a couple of seconds and you've smothered your fire. I don't really like that. I like things to be a little bit slower, a little bit gentler. Oh. Right, so... Way. I'm speeding. There's a 20 limit. I'm not going to slow in time for that. I might do. We'll see. No, don't think so. No. Oh, only just, I think. Only just. We'll see at the end. We'll see. We'll see at the end. On my scores, it'll tell me how sped. Yeah, there is a lot on this engine which just comes across as half-arsed, unfortunately, which is annoying because I know that Mr. Horrocks put a lot of effort into the modelling, but it seems that everything else doesn't tie itself together. It doesn't tie in together. There are some areas where I overfill my fire again. But yeah, the modelling is great, animation is great, but there are bits of this engine where you just sit there and go, oh no, they could have spent more time developing it. I think that this engine needed a bit more developing before being put out on release. And I imagine that the Hunslet Fitzwilliam probably has the same problem. Even though the Fitzwilliam has been in development for well over a year now, and it's just come out. And from what I've seen in the preview video, that's quite lackluster as well. So I certainly won't be buying that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy the Hunslet Fitzwilliam because it just looks disappointing. I was disappointed with this, if I'm honest. There are plenty of engines I was disappointed with, because I knew that the developers could have done a lot more with them, but didn't. And I feel like with this engine, what it really needs is it needs a proper custom sound set. It needs a full go over with the textures. only then would I say that this engine was half decent. Oh, look at that. We've actually managed to make up a couple of minutes there. We're still ridiculously late, but we managed to make up a couple of minutes. But nice, so that's it. That's us at Mirku now, our terminating stop. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you guys will keep tuned for the next exciting instalment of Gray's Trains. Remember that all your feedback is massively appreciated, and I look forward to getting every single comment. So if you want to comment, please do. If you want to give it a like, please do. If you want to subscribe, please do. I'm not forcing you. You can if you want. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I shall see you again next week. Take care.